Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. I'm in London doing the nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant. The title today, we need always to lean upon God. The scripture reading comes from Hebrews 11 verse 27. By faith he, Moses, forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Moses was a child of God, chosen for a special work. Having been adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, he was greatly honored by those in the king's court. As the king's intended grandson, everyone was intensely desirous of exalting him. They looked upon him as the successor to the throne. Moses was a man of intelligence, and God in his providence placed him where he could acquire knowledge and fitness for a great work. He was thoroughly educated as a general. When he went out to meet the enemy, he was successful, and on his return from the battle, his praises were sung by the whole army. Notwithstanding this, Moses constantly kept in mind the fact that by his hand God would deliver the children of Israel. But although learned among the Egyptians, he received in the service of Pharaoh a certain mold that disqualified him for the wonderful work he was to do. This weakness was manifested when he visited his brethren and spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew. Moses took the case in hand and privately slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand, in order that Moses might be fitted for his appointed work. The God of heaven separated him from his former surroundings. He was to enter another school, the school of providence. What a change here took place in the life and employment of Moses. Looking at this experience from a human standpoint, observers would pronounce it a splendid failure on the part of Moses. Instead of allowing this learned general, who was regarded as fully prepared to do his appointed work, to go ahead and accomplish that which had been foretold he should do, the Lord sent him into the mountains to obtain an education that would fit him to stand as the general of Israel. God designed that Moses should stand out alone, leaning upon his strong arm, and that he should learn to pray and to believe. Everyone should have an individual experience. We should ever be learning the lessons that providence designed us to learn. If we place ourselves where we look to others to brace us and support us, if we depend on finite help, we do not really know our own strength because we do not stand alone, making God our helper. When thrust out where we do have to stand alone, the taproot of our faith fastens upon the only sure support, the infinite God. We need always to lean upon God. And it starts off telling us how Moses was fit for battle as a general, and he won all the battles. And that reminded me of David. God prepared David to do the same. It says how he had great intelligence and he was molded to take over from the Pharaoh in the right time. But of course, God had other plans for him. He goes further to say that God took him out into the wilderness to prepare him for his work, his appointed work, as he did with Jesus. He took Jesus after his baptism out into the wilderness in preparation for his appointed work. As well as John the Baptist had to stand alone, Elijah had to stand alone, Jesus stood alone, David stood alone. All those that are appointed have lone work to do, where their only support is God. If we place ourselves where we look to others to brace us and support us, we're depending on finite help and we'll never know our own strength. But our strength will never be strength enough when we stand alone, because the source of our strength is God. And we should forever be leaning upon him. We need always to lean upon God.